Hey everyone, and welcome to XSTEM All Access. My name is Maynard Okereke, also known as the Hop M.D, and I'm excited to be part of this series, showcasing some of the coolest minds in STEM. In this series, we'll dive deep into the diverse world of impactful STEM careers and the individuals leading the way in science, technology, engineering, and math. Today, we are going to learn about a STEM field that, while you might not hear much about it, is actually driving groundbreaking innovations that we all benefit from every single day. If you're wondering what field I'm talking about, just touch your shirt, your laptop, the table in front of you, the cable charging your phone. What do they all have in common? Yep, they're all made of materials. Yes, today we are talking all about materials science. As your guest host for this episode, I am excited to chat with Dr. Angela Moran. She is a materials scientist, engineer, and engineering educator with more than 40 years of research experience in this exciting and innovative field. Hope you're ready because we are going to dive deep into the world of materials science and explore the many ways this cutting-edge field makes a difference in our lives, or should I say, our material world. Make sure you subscribe in the YouTube description below and follow us on social media to get updates on new XSTEM episodes. Check out the full collection of episodes available on demand right here. You'll find topics ranging from satellite technology to chemistry, robotics to climate science, and everything in between. Plus, educators can access NGSS and CASEL-aligned lesson plans to accompany each episode, including today's. These lesson plans are written by educators for educators. You can browse the entire library of free lesson plans right here. And with your parents' permission, tell us how you were inspired today by tagging us at USA Science Fest, #XSTEM, and me at Hip Hop Science Show. Now, before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself because I'm sure you're all wondering. I am a science communicator with a background in civil environmental engineering, and I started my platform, Hip Hop Science, to help spark curiosity and excitement in STEM by using music, entertainment, and comedy as tools to educate on a wide variety of subjects. I think curiosity is key to unlocking so many amazing things in life, and I'm always excited to share fascinating things happening in the world of science, which is why I'm so hyped about our interview today. And I know all of you are going to be just as excited to hear from our speaker, Dr. Angela Moran. As a materials science engineer, her decades-long career has involved work in materials and manufacturing, nanocoatings, forensics, and advanced processing like 3D printing for organizations such as the Navy, the Air Force, the Department of Energy, Ford, and numerous other private industries. We're going to learn shortly how significantly the innovations from this research impacts our lives. In addition to the cutting-edge research she took part in during her tenure, Angela also has a passion for inspiring students about her work. After noticing a lack of women and minorities in the field, Angela set out to change that by developing and implementing STEM outreach and educational programs at the U.S. Naval Academy that continue to reach underserved students across the country. Dr. Angela Moran, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Maynard. I'm really excited to be here. So please fire away with the questions.
Oh, absolutely. Let's do this. Okay, so you are an engineer and a materials scientist. Most of us are familiar with the field of engineering, but some students may not be as familiar with materials science. Can you tell us about this STEM field and how it relates to engineering?
Materials science and engineering is really a unique field. Material scientists learn about the structure, the properties, and the processing associated with a wide range of materials. There's about 100,000 different engineering materials that are available for use, and they include polymers, ceramics, and metallics, in addition to all the new unique superconducting materials and biomedical materials and composite structural materials. So there's a wide range of materials. The materials scientist uses different forms of instrumentation, such as electron microscopes, manufacturing equipment like rolling mills, 3D processing equipment, stereolithography. All types of instrumentation are used to understand the structure and test for the properties of the material, and then modify it through processing to get either new materials or get improved materials from old ones. So the materials scientist and engineer has to look for what the needs are of a particular application and then match the material to that application. So a pretty unique example of that is the development of the cell phone. So the cell phone technology has gone from those big, bulky, brick-like cell phones that literally just made a call to what you have in your pocket now. It's like a small computer that you carry around with you. It's been the advances due to material science and engineering of those electronic chips, making them smaller, higher quality, with better processing embedded into it and better sensors that have made your cell phone become lighter, smarter, stronger, and able to do so much more. So it's really, a unique area in that you get to influence all different areas of engineering. I like to tell my students, you get to do it all. You get to make and break things. You get to heat and treat them. You get to shake them and bake them. So there's just so many different things that you can do in material science and engineering, and that's why it's a really great field to go into.
Okay. So the mobile devices we rely on for basically all aspects of our lives are thanks to material science. That is absolutely incredible. And this is just one example of how the work done by material scientists impacts our lives. I mean, think of all the stuff we use every single day. The cars we drive, the pans we cook our food in, the glasses that help us see, the helmets we wear for sports, and even my headphones, right? The list goes on and on and on. All of these things are made out of a material that was developed or enhanced by a material scientist for the purpose of improving our daily lives. So we should all be very grateful for the work these scientists and engineers are doing. I absolutely love it. So, Angela, you earned a bachelor's degree in physics and engineering and a master's and PhD in material science and engineering. What led you to follow this path? Did you have a specific interests or experiences or mentors growing up that influenced you?
I did. I had just terrific support throughout my academic path and through my career. I grew up with five brothers. My father was a civil engineer, and my fondest memories are actually working with him around the house. He was kind of a perfectionist, so my brothers didn't really like doing anything with him. So I was his little sidekick, and some of the things that he taught me were not only how to use hand tools, but also to do things like mix and pour concrete when we made a retaining wall in our backyard. So they were my earliest influences. Both my parents were really great about encouraging me to be independent and encouraging me to do what I wanted to do. I was very fortunate to have wonderful science and math teachers throughout my grade school and my high school years. Teachers that were well versed in the content, but also had a lot of practical experience, practical knowledge, and were able to make me see the value in science and math. And that was a very strong influence. When I went to college, I actually thought I wanted to become a medical doctor. And I hid in an engineering field because at that point in time, it was difficult to get into med school if you were a biology major. But I went to my engineering classes and fell in love and was fortunate enough to have opportunities with internships and apprenticeships where I met professionals in my field that act as mentors for short periods of time, some for longer periods of time. I also worked at the Navy lab for a number of years, and while I was there, had some great mentors in the engineering field. My husband has been with me throughout my graduate school and my career path, and he's also a material scientist and engineer, and he's probably been my number one cheerleader and mentor, always kind of steering me on the right career path.
Yes, mentors can play an integral role in a student's path by providing advice, guidance, and real-world insight and experience. You can find a mentor in so many places, at home, at school, through internships and apprenticeships, and even right here. I know personally for me, I've had so many incredible people I've looked up to throughout my career, especially early on. And I think it's so important to find mentors early because they can provide you with so many resources and give you the tools you need to navigate your future goals. And also, even if you don't have any idea what you want to do, mentors can absolutely help lead you in the right direction as well. Absolutely important. Now, you mentioned having the opportunity to work in a Navy lab. Can you tell us about the type of research you conducted during your time as a civilian materials engineering scientist for the U.S. Naval Academy? What kind of technologies and innovations resulted from your work?
So before I started working at the Naval Academy as an engineering faculty member, was fortunate enough to spend 10 years in the Navy lab system at David Taylor Research Center. And there I learned just so much about different areas of engineering. I was able to work in areas from welding to advanced coatings to corrosion control, just so many different areas of material science and engineering that were issues for the Navy and for the fleet. So there I was able to learn a lot about engineering, and while I was there, I was actually fortunate enough to become involved and support a group in advanced processing. We laid the groundwork for some of the first, what was known as rapid prototyping, and has become 3D printing for naval alloys and complex shapes of naval alloys. So that was a really exciting time for me. So I helped develop new processing methods for some of the Navy super alloys, and they literally are super alloys, stronger, faster, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that process is part of a larger process where materials get certified for the fleet. And it takes a long time because you have to make sure that the costing is completed, availability of those materials is determined. You have to make sure that they meet all of the critical requirements in terms of not only strength, but safety for those that are on board those vessels. So it was a big program, and I was fortunate enough to be involved in that program.
Wow. So you are at the forefront of the 3D printing innovations that have revolutionized manufacturing processes for so many industries. That is absolutely amazing. So speaking of innovations in material science, what's the most exciting discovery or project you worked on, or that you know of in your field that could inspire the students listening to maybe consider a career in material science?
So I had enumerated a number of the different areas that I had worked in, and probably the most exciting or the most appealing to what students would resound with now or resonate with now would be that idea of the advanced processing that then became 3D printing, or additive manufacturing is what I think the terminology is that we use now. What made it really exciting was that a lot of what we do in 3D printing in schools and in everyday applications involve polymer materials. The work that we did actually involved metallic materials for shipboard applications. So we were actually hoping to be able to replace parts on submarines or on ships when they were actually out at sea. So if you think about a vessel and you think about the huge number of parts that are on that vessel and about how they could fail at any point in time and leave the folks on board that vessel sort of at bay, to have a possibility for where you could just whip something off in your 3D printer is something that the Navy actually is still trying to do, and it's something that we laid the foundation for in my work in advanced processing. So that was very exciting. But probably the most intriguing programs that I worked in were the areas of failure analysis. This particular failure was a submarine shaft where the shaft failed and actually dropped the prop in the body of water that the submarine was in. Well, that's a scary situation. So we had to, at the research lab, we had to figure out very quickly what was wrong and if other submarines were going to be in the same sort of predicament. So we did that. It was a great team effort, and we responded very quickly. We were able to get that submarine problem resolved and able to work with the manufacturing to resolve it for the future. So that was great. That led to my interest in failure analysis in general, and I think probably the most rewarding thing that I had been able to work on was with my students at the Naval Academy when I taught failure analysis and had the individual teams work on specific failures from the fleet. And so we learned together, and to see my students respond, first of all, learn how to use all the instrumentation to conduct a failure, such as an electron microscope, such as hardness testers and fatigue testers. They learned how to use that instrumentation, how to apply the information that they got to make critical judgments about why a part failed, and to learn right along with me as we solved the problem. That was really exciting.
That does sound really exciting because performing failure analysis in materials science is like being a detective for things that break or don't work properly. And you get to use some really cool high-tech tools to solve mysteries and find solutions. I absolutely love it. Now, it seems like the field of materials science has a great impact and benefit to society. Can you possibly share some examples of how advancements in materials science have led to improvements in our everyday life?
I certainly can list many things that can be credited to material science and engineering developments. So if you just take a look around and you look at common everyday objects, things like duct tape, that's a materials development. Velcro, that's a materials development. We use Kevlar for body armor for our police and for our soldiers and sailors. New lightweight industrial materials that are stronger and allow us to be able to go faster and go higher in space. Those are all materials developments. So there's so many things in our everyday life that if we take a look around, we often take them for granted, but they are due to advances in materials, where materials scientists and engineers have looked at an existing product and tried to determine how they could improve it by improving the materials that are part of that product. And so many of them are a result of defense labs, DoD labs doing work to develop materials to keep our soldiers and sailors safe, but ultimately these find a place in our commercial society. Things like, as I mentioned, the body armor that our policemen use, that came from materials development. But also a lot of the medical devices, prosthetic devices, those are all driven by defense lab research. So there's just a wide range of things that material scientists and engineers are responsible for. They're kind of those unsung heroes.
Unsung heroes for sure. I think anyone watching this episode has a new appreciation for the important work that materials scientists do. And there are so many opportunities for someone to work in the field of materials science. I mean, just take a look at some of these examples. Who knew there were so many career options in the field of materials science, right? I mean, the best part of this is that there's something for all education levels. Maybe you want to attend a four-year university or even go for a graduate degree. Or maybe you prefer to attend a trade school or learn through an apprenticeship right after you graduate high school. Either way, there are jobs in materials science out there for absolutely everybody. So, Angela, speaking of important and impactful work, How does research and engineering in material science contribute to the development of maybe cutting edge technologies with applications in the defense sector that ultimately influence the national security of our country?
Well, that's probably the $1 million question, right? We want to make sure that our country is secure and safe, and I think that material scientists and engineers play a pretty vital role. So let's look at some examples. GPS, which we all use every day. That's how we navigate our way around. GPS was developed through defense labs. It's also part of material science and engineering developments in that advances in the sensors, advances in the electronic chips, advances in all of the technology associated with being able to use the technology are results of materials developments. Things like nitinol. Nitinol was actually developed in a government lab. It's called nickel titanium alloy, and it is that shape memory alloy that we hear a lot about. It's in our braces. If you have braces on your teeth, you most likely have nitinol alloy, nitinol wires. It's in the hinges of your glasses, but now it's actually used in space travel, in that pieces can be made out of nitinol and then wound up and put in a small compartment and unwind under the heat of the sun in space. It's used in structural applications, and that nitinol is now in reinforcement of buildings that are prone to earthquake areas. And so it allows the building to kind of rebound from an earthquake. So it's very important commercial applications and societal applications, but that came out of the defense sector.
Okay, hold up. You're saying the same material in the braces that straighten our teeth is also being used in space travel and to reinforce buildings from earthquakes? That is absolutely crazy. Innovations in material science not only make our day-to-day lives easier, but they also help keep our country safe, and we can definitely all be very grateful for that. So, take a look at this. Crazy, right? I mean, who knew that there were so many applications of material science in the defense sector? It is also important to point out that you don't have to be enlisted in the military to make a difference in the defense industry. Just like Angela, you can work as a civilian and still contribute greatly to the safeguarding of our country. And what is more impactful than that, right? Now, Angela, you must have witnessed many advancements in the field during your several decades of experience working in material science and engineering. Do you foresee any upcoming breakthroughs in material science that could possibly shape our future?
Well, there are some definitive areas that we definitely are going to be watching in material science development over the next uh, you know year or so. I think probably many of us recall recent developments in superconducting materials for quantum computing. There was a lot of information about the possibility of making room temperature superconducting materials, and that turned out to not be the case. But I think we're pretty close to that. Quantum computing relies on very, very low temperature superconducting materials to be able to keep all those small particles functioning as needed for the quantum computing capabilities. If we can get those superconducting materials at relatively moderate temperatures, like room temperature, as opposed to very low cryogenic temperatures, it's going to be a big breakthrough in the area of quantum computing. And once we release quantum computing to the masses, our lives are going to change again, just like they changed with the introduction of the cell phone, because we're going to be able to do computations that may have taken thousands of hours to do in just seconds. And we're going to be able to open the doors up for vast improvements in computational accuracy, but we're also going to be opening the doors up to a new wave of concerns in cybersecurity, because we're going to be able to, the bad guys are going to be able to crack passwords even faster. So that's something that we definitely want to keep an eye on, and that's directly related to the development of the materials that are associated with quantum computing. Another area that's of interest to keep an eye on that I think is groundbreaking is the area of robotics and artificial intelligence in terms of sensing capabilities. So we currently have prosthetic devices that are very obviously prosthetics, but we're now working on tactile types of prosthetic devices that can mimic human touch, and skin that emulates human skin and actually has embedded sensors in it that allow the person to feel and touch. So these are things that are all coming up in the next generation of materials, and it's very exciting, almost Star Wars like. So the another area, and I would say not necessarily the least area of interest, is the area of nanotechnology and advanced processing. We all love 3D printing. 3D printing relies on being able to make things in little tiny particulate. We are able to look at things on an atomic scale now due to advances in materials instrumentation. And now we're actually able to modify those materials at a nanoscale. So we're changing the structure and the properties of the materials at a very, very fine level, which means we can make them, improve them in terms of their performance. These are all groundbreaking, and they're all areas to watch for the future.
Okay, you had me at Star Wars. I mean, we're talking about quantum computing, robotics, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, 3D printing, and more. Like, how can you not be excited about the future of material science? Careers in this field are truly just groundbreaking and pushing the limits of innovation in our country and beyond. It's just so fascinating. Okay, now, before we sign off, what advice would you give students with an interest in pursuing a career in material science?
Well, I'll say go for it, but let me give you some specifics. First of all, you really do need to have an interest in chemistry and physics. So the sciences and math, a strong foundation in those are important. So if you're in high school, you want to take all those science and math courses that you can, so you're in great shape for your academic path in engineering. You also want to be open to ideas and to talk to professionals if you have that opportunity. So the way to do that is either through networking or through, and that's hard to talk about when you're at middle school or a high school, but it's very doable. You can also look for opportunities in internships and apprenticeships. They may be volunteer, but you could often find paid internships as well, where you get a chance to work in a lab, a materials lab, and see what it's like. So you get to experience materials and decide whether it's good for you or not. Explore different areas of material science. You can just read about them, keep current through Scientific American or through the websites that post advances in materials, so you can learn more about that. You want to develop your curiosity and your computational skills and your desire to learn. Those are all important areas for every area of engineering, but it's definitely something that a materials engineer can use to their advantage. Certainly problem solving and analytical skills as well as strong communication skills are great to have. In addition to that, I want you to think about the big picture. Think about where you're going to be. And again, I know that's really hard if you're in 6th grade or in 9th grade or in 12th grade, but picture what you want to do with your life and how you want to spend your days. So the thing that really draws me to engineering and drew me to material science and engineering in particular is that it's an opportunity to make things better. Engineers make the world a better place. And I think that's more so even truer with material scientists and engineers, if I can be a little biased. But you want to do what you love, be passionate about what you choose for your life's work, and when you go to work, it'll be an enjoyment, and so that you can go to work every day with a strong sense of purpose.
Go for it. Yes, that is 1000% true. I couldn't agree more. Some of you know I'm all about curiosity, and I have this phrase that I live by. Curiosity is nature's PhD. Never stop asking. I think curiosity is key to unlocking so many amazing opportunities, and some of the greatest things you can experience in life come from simply asking a question, being inquisitive, and just wanting to know more. Angela, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. This was absolutely amazing, and I learned so much.
Thank you, Maynard, and I really appreciate this opportunity. I hope that all of you will have a chance to look into the field of material science and engineering and consider all the opportunities that you have in your future. Take care.
I really enjoyed learning about the field of material science and getting an understanding of how critical this work is for the daily conveniences we rely on and the national security of our country. For any students out there looking for career paths that truly make an impact on the world, material science is definitely worth investigating further. And the next time you use something, anything, remember that material science was probably responsible for making that object what it is today. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in today. Please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel in the description below. And also follow us on social media to get updates about new episodes. Trust me, you don't want to miss any of them. Plus, you'll also get access to fun weekly content for students and teachers, such as STEM facts for students. You can get classroom tips for teachers and so much more. And don't forget to check out the full library of episodes available on demand right here. Each one has an NGSS and CASEL-aligned lesson plan for teachers to use in the classroom. And of course, with your parents' permission, tell us how you were inspired today by tagging us at USA Science Fest, #XSTEM, and me at Hip Hop Science Show. You can also keep up with the work that I do on my social channels and website, hiphopscienceshow.com, which includes STEM outreach work for classrooms, keynote sessions, hands-on workshops, STEM festivals, and so much more. I had an absolute blast being your host today, but don't sign off just yet. You want to stick around to the end of this video for a fun trivia game that you can do in the classroom or at home. Have fun and good luck. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.